So as I said, there's a few topics I wanted to just tell you about briefly that are sort of being discussed quite widely within scientific publishing, and that as you as researchers, authors and readers may be interested to find out more. So in the current times, I expect that you may have heard discussions around preprints and preprint servers. And in fact, we've seen a lot of research that's being discussed in the news around COVID-19 that has currently been shared on preprint servers. But however, the research has yet to undergo peer review. So a preprint, if you're not aware, is a complete manuscript which the authors share publicly, but as I said, hasn't undergone peer review. And the reason that the authors share their manuscripts this way is really to accelerate the dissemination of this research and get it out there as quickly as possible, and so the community can benefit from this as soon as it's available. The Royal Society of Chemistry have been involved in the launch of ChemArchive, which is the premier chemistry preprint server. And this has been launched in conjunction with a number of leading chemistry societies around the globe. And this now contains over 5,000 unique preprints in chemistry. It's completely free for authors to submit their article, and all the preprints are freely available. As one of the member societies, it's also a very easy one-click if you then want to submit your article to one of our journals once it's posted on ChemArchive. So moving on to the next slide. So as I mentioned, dissemination of research is an incredibly important part of our mission as a learned society. And as such, we've been looking at how we can accelerate the movement of open access within the chemical sciences. So what is open access? Well, it's the free and permanent unrestricted access to online content. And it's in an open access environment, authors retain copyright to their research. They have to sign a license, which then means that any users, any readers can download, copy, reuse and share the data within those open access articles. I'm sure you'll have heard there are a number of different types of open access. Gold open access being the most common one, which is a model where the final published version of the article is available free as soon as possible on the publisher's website. And it's freely available to anyone who wants to read it and download it. And this is usually accompanied by an article processing charge for the authors. Green open access is another type of open access which is fairly widespread. And the key difference here is that the version of the article that is freely available is the accepted version, but not the final version that the publishers have hosted on their website. And the accepted version of that manuscript is usually deposited in a non-for-profit repository, and usually after an embargo period. Most publishers have an embargo period of about 12 months for green open access at the moment. So as I said, the Royal Society of Chemistry is very keen to shape open access publishing in the chemical sciences. However, we do recognise there are several challenges here, particularly with access for people to funds in order to pay for open access publishing. So it's really, really important for us to be able to support our community during any transition that we make to a more open access and open research environment. So just to show you how open access has been growing, biology has always been ahead of the other major physics and chemistry with regards to open access, but as you can see, the number of journals in both physics and chemistry which are completely open access has been significantly growing over the past 5 years. So why is this? So funders really want their research to be open and accessible to all. And this is something that's being driven quite strongly in places in Europe through Plan S and authors who are funded by those funding agencies who are part of Plan S. Authors also want their work to be accessible to all. And this is something that we're beginning to see more evidence that open access research is read by more scientists and also has the potential to be picked up by researchers outside of the immediate field of research. The other benefits, of course, if the work can be read and used by scientists around the world immediately, there is also the benefit of this work then being cited quicker and potentially more often in the future. And this is just a reference to a report that was published by Springer Nature, where they showed actually the impact of open access articles in some of their journals. And they found open access research was downloaded 4 times more than non-open access articles. And they also saw an uplift in the number of citations that those articles were receiving, as well as more attention online through altmetrics, including news articles and policy mentions. I must say the RSC has seen a similar pattern in terms of downloads for journals where we've changed from being a subscription journal to open access. Certainly the number of downloads to these papers increases significantly when the research becomes open access. Another area that we are thinking about, incredibly seriously at the moment is inclusion and diversity. And this is because we recognise that it's important to value all members of our community. And really, we believe that for the chemical sciences to prosper, we must attract and develop a wide range and diverse range of talented people. So therefore, we have a responsibility to promote inclusivity and accessibility so we can improve the diversity of both our authors, our reviewers, and anybody involved with the publication of our journals. We've taken some action on this already, and in fact, we published a report around looking at the whether the publishing in the chemical sciences is gender biased. This is available on our website, and you can see from that report, we do see that there is a bias against female authors at all stages of the publication process. And this is something we're really committed to looking at in more detail and understanding our processes and where we can improve to ensure that in the future we can minimize these biases or even eliminate these biases where possible. Okay, so thank you. Moving on to the last point that I wanted to touch upon was some technical developments that we've been working on, which we hope will be beneficial to our authors. We know our authors are extremely busy people and have many calls upon their time. We were speaking to some authors about how we could make the publication process easier for them. And somebody said to us, it's the science that should be hard and the publishing easy. And we couldn't agree more. So this is why we've started looking at our processes for ways that we can simplify this and make it easier for our authors when they submit an article for publication. So for chemical science now, I'm really pleased that we have a new submission process that authors can use. It's much faster than our old process and really minimizes the amount of information that authors need to input when they are submitting their manuscript. Charlie, if you could just click through, thank you. The submission process will extract things like the title and the abstract from your manuscript, so you don't need to spend time typing that in again. And we've really reduced the amount of time that authors are spending on average when submitting a paper. So we hope this is time that we can give back to the community to spend on other things. One other aspect that authors told us they wanted more information on was around the peer review process. They wanted to understand what was going on during the peer review process once their article was submitted. And so we've introduced a new article tracker where authors can click on a link and find out very quickly about what's happening to their manuscript at any time. You can find out which editor it's been assigned to, you can find out when it's been assigned to reviewers, and also how many reviewer reports have been returned on it.